backyard all day.
Hello there, and welcome back to another Koppen report video. Today's focus is gonna be on Kosovan footballing talent. As some of you may know, I am Iridian from Albanian football, and Albanian football and Kosovan football it goes hand in hand because they speak Albanian. They are Albanian. These are all Albanian players of Kosovo passports, we can say. So yeah, I know quite a lot about these guys. I've followed most of them for most of their career, and I think some of them could prove to be quite a good signing for Rangers potentially. Mhm. So let's just start having a look at it here. First up on the list is the man himself, Elliot Boyupi. He is 18 years old. His height is 6'1", which is quite tall, and he plays as a striker for Stuttgart's second team in Germany at the moment. Now, people might be thinking, why are we looking at a guy playing for a second team? Rangers are quite a big club who play Europa League football, aspires to play Champions League football. Why are we signing second string players? But I just think we have to look at the value and the potential in the players we're looking at. I don't think Rangers at the moment, without knowing too much about the financials, are in a position where they can splash 5, 6, 7 million on a quality striker who's just gonna guarantee 20 to 30 goals every season. I think it's all about finding those gems, those hidden gems we could call it, where you just gotta take the gamble, gotta take the risk, and hope they come good. The thing about this guy is there's not a certain skill set I think he possesses, which makes him special. What I like about him is he's quite versatile. He knows quite a lot of stuff about the striker role. As I said, he's quite tall, but it's not because he's a target man per se. Like he's also quite mobile. As you can see, his successful dribbles down here is 86% successful. Pass accuracy is all right. He's good in his link up play. And please remember, this is all in the third league of Germany. I'm not going to say he's going to come into Rangers and he's going to light the world on fire with everything, his complete package. But I think Rangers have the opportunity to buy this guy for maybe even lower than 500,000 euros, maybe even just about at that price. And they can nurture him into the striker they want. If they want to make him more of a target man striker, you could nurture him into that. If you want to make him more of a mobile, associative, playmaking striker, you can do that also. And now we move on with the second option, which is a much more refined footballer. It's definitely one of the best players to come out of the Kosovo League in the last couple of years. This is Lombard Delova, 26-year-old, 6'1" once again, but this guy is a center back who plays for CSK Sofia in Bulgaria. What I like about this guy is the fact he's rock solid. You know exactly what you're going to get with him. As I said, 26 years old. He's kind of in the prime of his career. These are definitely going to be his best years. And I haven't watched too much of him in Bulgaria, but I watched a lot of him when he played for Balkani in the Kosovo League. Balkani, who also went on quite a good European runs at times and even made it to the Conference League's groups once. And he was playing very well against quite good opposition, like some like Sivasspor from Turkey, for example. And he was genuinely one of the best players in that side. So yeah, what you get exactly with this guy is a rock solid center back who can also do a job at right back, and if needed, he can also do a job at defensive midfielder. For a center back who's coming out of the Balkans, he's quite good on the ball. I don't think that would be one of his biggest weaknesses, even in Scottish football, because I don't think defenders are too reliant on their ball playing abilities when they play in Scotland. But Defo, like his duel winning and his play in general is very good for a center back, and I just think he's a smart, high IQ center back who I personally like watching a lot. And let's not forget also, as you can see on the picture right there, he's in the Kosovo national team jersey, as he actually plays some quite important games for Kosovo whenever one of their bigger center backs is out injured. And he does the job. It's not because you sit there and thinking, we're missing Rahmani from Napoli now. We're missing this guy. We're missing this guy. This guy, he just does his job on the low, under the radar. And Yeah, he delivers solid performances every time. Now let's move on to another guy coming out of FC Balcone in the Kosovo Super League, and this guy is actually still at Balcone. 22-year-old, 6 foot tall defensive slash midfielder. You can just call him center midfield. And what I like about this guy is the fact that he actually offers the complete package. As we can see on the pictures in the middle here, we've got his strengths, which is playmaking, long balls, positioning, but he's a center defensive mid. So you can see he does the dirty work, but he can also do some quite good stuff on the ball. He can be this deep line playmaker against some of the lower blocks in the Scottish league, where he's just pinging the ball about. But he can also defo do like the dirty work whenever you're facing an opposition, which is gonna have close to or even more possession than you. Overall, I think he's one of the better talents you can look at in the Kosovo League. And the thing about the Kosovo League is, even though it has some quite good talents, you're not gonna get them for too much of a high fee. It's not gonna be too expensive. As you can see, his transfer market value is 1 million. But when these clubs they negotiate with foreign clubs, they don't really have too much leverage. So it's not like you're gonna sit there negotiating and are gonna end up overpaying for him. You're gonna pay close to his value, maybe even less if you offer some other things on the side, like a sell-on clause or something like that. But at the end of the day, I don't think the fee is gonna be the biggest problem. I think it's all about whether they can adapt to Scottish football, whether they fit and settle in. That's always going to be the main asking point. But I think he's definitely someone you can look at if a Rangers midfielder is to leave or something like that. He's definitely an option. And now we move on to a guy who actually plays in Sparta Prague. It is Ermal Krasniqi, 26-year-old, 6'2" winger, which is incredibly tall for a winger, you could say. And he actually plays with another guy, which Rangers fans are quite familiar with, Albion Rahmani, who's also of Kosovo descent, of course. And yeah, Rahmani, I would say, is the much better player simply because he has a bit more talent and he's more of a clinical striker. But Ermal Krasniqi is, of course, a lot cheaper than him. As you can see, his transfer market value is 2 million. And yeah, I think it will be a bit high, given the fact that it's not because he has the best numbers ever. He's played in Romania. He's played also for that Balkan side back then, and now he's playing in the Czech league. But he's doing okay. It's not because he's doing completely bad. In 7 stars, he's got 3 goals and 1 assist. And overall, I think he does quite well whenever I watch him. I watch Sparta Prague a lot because they've got a lot of Albanians also, not just the Albanians from Kosovo, but also the Albanian from the Albanian national team, which I follow closely. I think he's quite a dangerous player every time he steps on the pitch because he has a bit of everything also, a bit of pace, a bit of dribbling, a bit of height. From what I've seen, actually, he seems to be the perfect impact sub. I think that might be a bit too much, too high of a fee for an impact sub. But it just shows, he can always do something against most sides. I just think he needs to be a bit more refined. He's still a little bit raw, even though he's 26 years old, and that's definitely some of the weaknesses with him. But let's say a guy like Václav Černý is leaving because his loan is ending. Maybe Ermal Krasniqi could be an option. Now we are in Albania. Batan Jaberja, he plays for the Albanian team Dinamo City in the Albanian league. He's a 23-year-old, 6 foot tall winger of Kosovo and national team descent, of course. And what I like about this guy is he's got bags of potential. I've thoroughly enjoyed watching him play football this year in Dinamo City. I didn't watch him too much when he played at Gelone or Drenica in Kosovo, but I've watched him these last 2 seasons, and I think he's been lighting the Albanian league on fire. Dinamo City were in like the second league a couple of years ago. Then they barely managed to survive last season, but this season they're at the top, and it's mainly because of their coach, who was also a Balkani coach, but also Batan Zabrija. So yeah, I think he's one of the guys with a lot of upside potential on this list. 400,000 transfer market value. I think you're gonna end up paying close to that simply because a lot of teams are in for him, but I think 400,000 is a steal for his potential. And why not just, try it out and see what happens? Right winger can even play on the left if really needed. But I think he's such a tricky and such a goal-minded guy. As you can see, he scores a lot, assists a lot. He's a bit of a journey type of winger, who's an output machine. So why not try it out with him? Now we move on to Zumer Beduce, who is a player which I'm quite disappointed in his career path, to be completely honest with you. And then you're gonna sit there and think, why are you including him? But yeah, if you had asked me a couple of years ago where this guy would be, I would have genuinely said he would be a starter, a regular starter, and good performer for a team like Rangers or other teams in some of the lower countries, not the top five leagues, but some of the lower leagues, where you would be at a top team who's playing in the Europa League, Champions League, Conference League, something like that. But it's not exactly the case. He is at the CSK Sofia, just like one of the other players we mentioned, the Lova. And yeah, the reason why I think he should have done better is because he definitely has the talent, a very good left winger. I think he's so good at getting goals out of nothing. I know right there it says only 2 goals and 1 assist. Probably hasn't had the best season. I haven't watched too much so CK Sofia, to be completely honest with you. But his transfer market value says it all. 2.8 million, quite high for a guy in that league, and it's simply due to his resume. Also, he's played a lot for Kosovo national team. He's gotten goals. He's gotten assists for them. He played for Konyaspor when they were quite good in the Turkish league. Got 8 goals, 7 assists in only one season in 21-22. And then he finally got a big move to Olympiacos, which is quite a big club in Europe. But of course, it did not go well there. And after only one season of basically doing nothing for them, he went back to Turkey and then went to CSK Sofia. So yeah, the thing about this guy is he's got bags of quality, but he's also one of those type of players where what you need to do in order for him to be a success is to kind of rejuvenate his career. And to be completely honest, I don't think Rangers is the right place for that. I don't think Rangers have time for that. And also, he's 28 years old, so you would have to buy like the complete package. But I've included him on here because he's simply a good player, and he's a guy who could you can maybe even get for a lot lower than that 2.8 million fee. He went as a free agent from Antalyaspor to CSK Sofia. He's never been bought for more than a million or 500,000. So you can maybe get a guy for 2.8 million transfer market value for a lot less than a million, and then maybe I think he could be worth it. Now we move on to another right winger, and I think just like Zaberja is one of the guys who's playing fantastic in the Albanian National League at right wing. This is Drilon Hasdrolaj, who's playing fantastic in the Kosovo League, also 20 years old only, but he's got 19 goals and 4 assists this season, which I just think is ludicrous numbers for a 20-year-old. And look, the Kosovo League is not the best league, of course it isn't, but it's not exactly easy to get in there as a 20 years old and just play like that. In Albania and the Balkans in general, we have this sort of mentality of if you're under 21, you're not old enough, and if you're not old enough, you're not good enough. So to see young players be so good that they just have to be played anyway and deliver like this, crazy, crazy. But of course, his transfer market value is only 800,000, and he of course does have a lot of suitors with that. FC Malisheva, they wouldn't be looking to get too much from him. I think they might just want to sell on clause or something like that because of his huge potential. But yeah, this guy has a lot of teams coming for him. He's also got a lot of national teams coming for him because both Kosovo want him, Albania want him. He's a very sought after profile and a player, a right winger who scores his goals, plays fantastic in general. I like him a lot. And now we move on to a guy who I think will be very, very unknown by anyone who isn't Albanian or, yeah, who watches Kosovo football in general. 18-year-old 5'4" winger, as you can see, very, very short. But I think that's good for a winger also because it makes him more tricky. This low center of gravity, dribbling in and around players. And I think this is one of the players who is touted to be Edan Jagrova's what's it called, replacement at the Kosovo national team in the future because he is that good. Everyone knows Jagrova. He plays for Lille, fantastic player. Elvi Kashian is the guy with the most potential, even more potential than Hazrolai, who's a bit more proven, you can say. As you can see, he's only had 2 starts, but in 2 starts, he's got a goal and an assist for an 18 years old. I think that's fantastic. He plays for Lope, who also plays some European qualifiers at times. Quite a bad team, if I got to be completely honest. They played one of the Danish teams in the qualifying and lost like 5-0, and then they lost again 3-0 or something like that. Just I don't think they're a good team. But this guy is a shining light and a bad team, a piece of diamond in the coal, and a rose in all the thorns. If you want to be a bit poetic here. I think he's a fantastic player for 300,000 transfer market value. He's definitely a guy everyone should be looking at for that price. And if you can get it for maybe even more, 400,000, 500,000, still worth it. 18 years old, bags of potential. This guy is going to be huge. That was basically the list, and I usually don't talk too much about goalkeepers because it's a bit of a boring one. But it's boring because you just expect your keeper to do the stuff right, and I think it's also very good to always get a keeper in who does the stuff right. So I wanted to include Visar Bekay, also a guy I follow quite a lot when he played for Tirana in the Albanian league. He was quite a big profile in the Albanian league, and then secured a move to the Turkish league where he plays for Hatayspor. He's also had a couple of games for the Kosovo national team. So he has a bit of pedigree. He has a bit of a good resume. And I think overall, a 27-year-old, 6'3" keeper, he's got the height, he's got the physical capabilities, and I think he's quite a good keeper. What I like about keepers is that they're a bit crazy. I don't like them to be too much of a good guy. They have to be a bit nuts because that. Why would you want to play keeper in the first place? Yeah, I want to go in goal and get a bunch of shots shot at me. You have to be nuts, and this guy is quite nuts. A bit of a hothead. Some people might not like that. I like that in a keeper. And he actually played his first game as a starter for Hatayspor this season against Galatasaray, and he drops an absolute masterclass, secures the draw for Hatayspor, and I was just applauding him from my own living room because it's crazy to come in and play against Galatasaray, who are an absolutely fantastic side. Got one of the world's best strikers in Osimhen, and then he just pops up with a performance like that. He would be very, very cheap to buy. 300,000 market value, probably quite telling, quite accurate also. He would do quite well as a backup keeper, but he could also play as a starter if he manages to reach that other level. 27 years old, also not too much for a keeper. Keepers can play until they're 35, 36. So, yeah, I just wanted to add him there as a little bit of an extra option just to get some more players in the knowledge of people. I was going to include this guy also, Fisnik Aslani, but it looks like he is securing a move today to one of the Union Berlin or something like that in the Bundesliga. So not too much to talk about here. Definitely an option for the future. Quite a good striker, scores a lot of goals. Quite mobile for a 6'3" guy. And yeah, but overall, I don't want to include him because he's got that deal. But also an option, Devo. I think overall, go back here to the page. You can see a lot of players here who play in the attacking positions, midfield positions. We also got a couple of keepers and defenders. I think overall, it's quite a good market, and it's an unexplored market, especially in the Scottish league. So definitely some good players to get in there, and I think maybe we could see the first Kosovo player for Rangers one day in the future. Thanks for watching this one, and have a good one.